Excuse me. Do you know where Peter Bill lives? Do you know if Frank's Autos is around here?
I'm looking for Dot Cotton's house.
And I'm looking for the Pizza Margherita.
With the new Radio Times, you'd know all the answers. There's a detailed map of Albert Square and a nostalgic look at the first 5 years of EastEnders. Radio Times gives you a better picture.
And putting you in the picture now, here's Anne Robinson with Points of View.
Hello and good evening, particularly to John Motson, who quite a few football fans want a word with.
I would like to congratulate him on his latest appointment, that of publicity agent to Liverpool.
Ian Hoyle of Sheffield claims
His commentary during the Norwich versus Liverpool match was nothing less than a monologue of drooling adoration every time a red-shirted player went near the ball.
According to Mr Hoyle, this was taken to ridiculous extremes when...
After Robert Rosario headed the ball against the Liverpool crossbar, a quick counter-attack by Liverpool was greeted with the words, "Typical Liverpool." They made it appear they were lucky and almost made Norwich pay for it.
Well, more or less, Mr H. What he actually said was...
And that's Liverpool for you. They may look as though they were lucky to escape at one end, but suddenly they're threatening at the other with 10 minutes left in the half.
But that wasn't all, was it, Kay Brown in Bromsgrove?
No. When Hanson, the Liverpool captain, deliberately upended Fleck, the Norwich forward, Fleck was clear of the Liverpool defence and on course for goal when Hanson committed the so-called professional foul.
And according to Mr Brown...
John Motson made his views clear by describing it as superb gamesmanship.
Well, more or less, Mr B. What he actually said was...
Oh, and, well, Fleck had foxed Hanson there, I think. The turn was a good one, and the Liverpool captain with a spot of gamesmanship, I have to say.
And every bit as much action Tuesday nights in A Sense of Guilt, which, of course, in no way describes the state of mind of heartthrob Felix. Maeve Hempson in Exeter will do this commentary.
Felix in bed with Elizabeth. Felix in bed with Sally. Felix in bed with Inga. Sally's mum in bed with Richard. Sally's mum in bed with a plump gentleman whose name I didn't catch but took to be her ex-husband. Richard's ex-wife in bed with someone unimportant to the plot, apparently. And Sally, we are told, has been in bed with an ex-boyfriend.
And Maeve, if I could ask you to sum up the game so far.
Well, really, Anne, in a sentence, Felix in bed with everyone, and only Elizabeth even vaguely on the margin of sexual responsibility. But then she's menopausal and no one really fancies her.
And Maeve wonders...
Do people in Miss Newman's world really behave like this? Or is this how you lot in the big city of London always behave?
Alas, not round my way. But you know, Maeve, one of the reasons adulterous husbands get away with murder is because other men will always lie for them. Take a look at this clip of candid camera Australian style. The young couple are actors. The old man, unrehearsed, unaware of the setup, does exactly what's expected of him.
All right, John, where were you? I waited all night and you didn't come home.
I was playing cards at Norm's place. Norm and I were playing cards last night.
Well, on me, man.
Do you realise that I was sitting at home on my own all night waiting for him?
Oh. Are you on the phone?
Yes, I am.
What's wrong with it?
Why do you ask if there's something wrong with the phone?
You're trying to ring.
Oh, that's very strange. I never, ever got a phone call.
You must be in the sleep.
Well, no, actually, I was awake.
What's your number? 48 what? What's your number?
4822235.
Oh, I'd ring it now.
That from Saturday Night Live. Now, on to a stack of grumbles about Holiday 90. Michael Smith says he's fed up of the programme illustrating holidays which come within the price range of 1% of the population.
Why can't they concentrate on providing advice on locations for family holidays at prices the rest of us can afford?
Furthermore, says Gordon Ingram of Inverurie,
Holiday 90 is obsessed with publicising its latest competition and the prizes which will be available to a few.
Was it really necessary, he asks,
to transport Anne Gregg, complete with camera crew, to exotic locations such as Mauritius and Tahiti for the benefit of the competition winners?
And was it really necessary, asked a great many more of you, to feature Lorraine Chase? Mr KJ Martin of Southampton made a special point of watching the Tuesday before last because he and his wife are off to Cephalonia this year. But he says he ended up seeing a great deal of Miss Chase and very little of the island. And he comments,
surely the point of the programme is to give information regarding holiday situations, amenities, flights, etc., not have people trying to be funny.
Now, QED's The House That Bob Built has brought a lively postbag. For those who missed it, Tomorrow's World reporter Bob Symes showed off a house in Milton Keynes which he'd adapted and brought up to a standard much more commonplace in other parts of Europe. For example, drinking water running from every cold tap, no cumbersome header tank in the loft, and a wiring system which allows electric cables to be added in minutes. All the equipment he installed is on sale in this country, but why, he asked, isn't it more widely used?
Congratulations.
Enthused Richard Gilderson.
The sooner British builders and architects wake up to the fact that we no longer live in the dark ages and present house owners with state-of-the-art facilities in their houses, the better it will be for the British construction industry.
Although I'm not sure some members of the industry would agree.
Several of us at work saw this programme and chatted about it next day. In our opinion, it was biased, an ego trip and generally poor.
Mr. B.J. Sharp, you see, is an electrician, and so are his mates, and I'm sure they weren't chatting when they should have been electrifying someone's house, but anyway, this is what they thought.
Yes, we noted several points. Circuit breakers have been available in England for many years. It's bloody awkward to install new sockets to an existing conduit system. When it's rewired, the new apparatus might not fit. When the fuse or circuit breaker operates, it's caused by a fault. You clear the fault before gaily turning the circuit breaker back on.
Or call an electrician if he's not too busy discussing last night's television. Sorry, Mr. Sharp, I interrupted.
In England, the ring main and lighting circuits are separate. In Bob's house, one circuit breaker, which was tripped by his vacuum cleaner, also appeared to control his lighting circuit. I could continue...
No thanks, Mr. Sharp, although you probably know the answer to the next question.
On the Antiques Roadshow from Leominster, there was an item shown I'd never heard of before, nor even read of in Dickens or any historical novel, although it was identified as a toilet used on the stagecoaches of yore. How? I just cannot fathom it out. Indeed, my mind doth truly boggle. Yours sincerely, Alan H. Dale.
Well, apparently it wasn't actually a standard fitting on public coaches, but the odd aristocrat would take on board an unplumbed chamber pot, which presumably could only be emptied when the coach was in motion. Now, we must get on and deal with several Python fans who are blowing a fuse, so Mr. Shark could probably help with this one too.
How can the BBC be so totally insensitive?
And?
I am astounded.
And?
We feel conned, tricked and cheated. In short, most upset.
And so on and so on. All this because the reruns of Python stopped at 8, so no parrot sketch. But points of view is not. Before I leave you with a little bit of the Cheetham School of Music Chamber Orchestra, who some of you felt didn't get nearly long enough on Boo Peter, I have to mention Mrs. Munro of Grange Hill. You have caused so much pain, Mrs. M. This letter comes from...
The Woodcraft folk.
They are not, they say, whatever you said they were, but...
A national voluntary youth organisation made up of cooperative, environmentally friendly, chocolate-eating people.
Which sounds a bit tame for Grange Hill.
Over on BBC 2 in a moment, there's the second part of Pennies from Heaven with Bob Hoskins, Gemma Craven and Cheryl Campbell.
February, March, April. Spring into cricket, when BBC Television brings you the best of the action from England's tour of the West Indies. With 5 one-day internationals and 5 test matches, England are out to regain the Wisden Trophy. Will they do it? We'll find out. There's ball-by-ball coverage live on Radio 3 Medium Wave. And Tony Cosier's joined by Jeff Boycott and Tony Gregg, bringing the best of the day's play here to BBC Television. Coverage starts in Sports Night, tonight at 10:10 on BBC1.
And before Sports Night, in half an hour, QED tells the story of time with a look at the mysteries of relativity. And like all good stories, it begins once upon a time. Now on BBC1, the news at 9 o'clock with Martin Lewis.